In the heart of Osogbo, a village known for its bustling marketplaces, family gatherings, and the chatter of elders by the river, lived a quiet, hardworking young man named Dàda. Though Dàda was well liked and respected for his kindness and work ethic, he had one peculiar flaw: he was utterly terrified of asking a woman out. Dàda's fear of rejection was so severe that even thinking about it made him tremble. He was handsome, tall, and known for his hardworking nature, but whenever the topic of romance arose, he withdrew. Friends laughed at him, calling him Dàda Eru Okorin, the fearful man. In secret, he longed to have a companion, a love he could cherish, but he couldn't bring himself to take that first step. Despite his gentle spirit, Dàda wasn't spared from the gossip in the village. Young men teased him mercilessly, and even some of the elders questioned why he remained unmarried. His family, too, had grown tired of his excuses and urged him to find a wife. His mother, Mama Dàda, often sighed loudly, saying, "When will you finally bring home a daughter-in-law? Am I supposed to wait forever?" But one day, a stranger moved into the village, a young woman named Títílayọ. Títílayọ was the daughter of a chief in another village, and her presence brought new life to Osogbo. She was strong-willed, curious, and deeply charming. She quickly made friends with the market women and even the children, who adored her because she told them stories and taught them songs. Her beauty was unmistakable, her spirit untamed, and her laughter, like the sound of running water, seemed to fill every corner of the village. Unlike other young women, Títílayọ wasn't one to wait patiently for a man to approach her. She had noticed Dàda's quiet kindness, how he helped the elderly, carried heavy loads for others, and even fetched water for the village. There was something gentle in his eyes that intrigued her, something she had not seen in any other man. So, one market day, when the sun was high and the market lively, Títílayọ found her chance. She approached Dàda with a broad smile and handed him a freshly bought mango. "For you," she said, her smile never wavering. Dàda stammered, his heart racing, as he held the fruit in his hand. "Ah, thank you, Títílayọ." Her laugh was light, and she leaned closer. "You're welcome. I noticed you don't speak much, Dàda. Or is it that you're only silent around the women?" He was too flustered to respond, so he only smiled shyly, his face burning with embarrassment. Títílayọ found his shyness endearing and decided to befriend him. Over the weeks, she would often seek him out, talking to him about everything and anything, her favorite foods, her dreams, and her hopes. Dàda began to relax around her, and soon, he found himself laughing with her and listening intently to her stories. But the village noticed Títílayọ's growing closeness with Dàda. Whispers began to spread. "Look at her, chasing a man." Some would sneer, "Isn't she ashamed? She should let him be a man and approach her first." Some of the young men in the village, particularly those who had been interested in Títílayọ, didn't take kindly to her friendship with Dàda. One evening, as Dàda was walking home, two men, Bol and Kunle, confronted him. "So, Dàda, now you think you're a man, Abi?" Bol sneered, "Running around with Títílayọ while we all know you're too scared to even ask her out properly." "Leave her alone," Kunle added. "A woman like Títílayọ is not for a coward like you." Dàda felt the familiar sting of humiliation, but he kept his head low, mumbling, "I'm not doing anything wrong." "Oh, you're doing something wrong," Bol hissed, shoving him. "You're disrespecting us by making her laugh while you can't even speak to her properly. If I catch you near her again." The men walked off, laughing, leaving Dàda alone and hurt. Though he had grown used to the ridicule, the bullying from his peers was beginning to affect him. But he couldn't bring himself to tell Títílayọ. He didn't want her to feel guilty for his pain. Títílayọ, however, wasn't oblivious. She noticed how the village seemed to treat Dàda and the way others looked at them whenever they were together. One day, after a long walk by the river, she finally addressed the issue. Dàda, why do you let them treat you this way? She asked, a hint of anger in her voice. Why don't you stand up for yourself? Dàda shook his head, sadness in his eyes. It's not that simple, Títílayọ. I don't have the courage to confront them. They all think I'm weak. Maybe they're right. Títílayọ held his hand, surprising him. They are wrong, Dàda. You're not weak. You just need to believe in yourself. And if you can't, then let me show you your own strength. Slowly, Títílayọ began to encourage Dàda in little ways. She convinced him to help her set up her stall at the market and stood by him, speaking proudly of him whenever people came around. She cheered him on in small village games, always telling him he was capable of more than he thought. But even Títílayọ's family had their doubts. Her father, Chief Adarin, was less than pleased with her choice of company. One evening, he called her to his quarters, his expression stern. Títílayọ, what is this I hear about you and that boy, Dàda? He's a good man, Baba, Títílayọ replied, keeping her voice steady. He is kind and hardworking. But is he a husband for you? Chief Adarin demanded. A man who can't even speak up for himself? Think about your future. We come from a respected family. You need a man who can protect you. Títílayọ knew that arguing would only worsen the situation, so she nodded quietly. I understand, Baba, she said, hoping to buy time. Meanwhile, Dàda had decided to face his fears, encouraged by Títílayọ's unwavering belief in him. He knew he had to finally ask her to be his, properly, as a man. But as he rehearsed his words in his mind, his stomach churned with nerves. Finally, one moonlit night, as they walked by the river under the stars, Dàda took a deep breath. Títílayọ, he said, his voice shaking, I have something to ask you. She turned to him, her face lighting up with a gentle smile. Yes, would you be my companion, my love? He stammered, struggling to find the right words. Títílayọ's eyes sparkled with happiness, and she nodded, her hands reaching for his. Yes, Dàda, I've been waiting for you to ask. Their relationship blossomed, but not without its share of challenges. Many in the village continued to whisper, and Títílayọ's parents remained skeptical. They tried to introduce her to other suitors, men they thought were more worthy, but Títílayọ stood firm, never wavering in her commitment to Dàda. Then, one day, a drought struck the village, and many families struggled as the crops withered and food became scarce. Dàda, who had experience in farming and water preservation, began helping families conserve water and showed them techniques to preserve their crops. His efforts did not go unnoticed, and soon the village was filled with stories of how Dàda was saving their community. Títílayọ's father, Chief Adarin, observed this and began to see Dàda in a new light. The once quiet young man, the one he had dismissed, was now a pillar of strength in the community. He was working tirelessly to ensure the village's survival, and his selflessness and wisdom were evident to everyone. One evening, Chief Adarin called Dàda to his home, and Títílayọ's heart pounded with worry. She feared her father would still try to discourage him. But as Dàda entered, Chief Adarin stood up, extended his hand, and said, You have proven yourself, Dàda. I see now that strength is not only in speaking boldly but in taking action when it matters. With the village's approval, the bullying and ridicule faded. Dàda and Títílayọ's love grew stronger, grounded in mutual respect and understanding. Their union became an inspiration to the community, a reminder that true courage is sometimes quiet, and that love can overcome even the most rigid fears and doubts. Dàda had once feared love and the opinions of others. Not the months passed, Dàda and Títílayọ's bond only deepened. The village, once skeptical and critical, grew to admire the couple's resilience and dedication. Even those who once mocked Dàda saw his quiet strength and began to respect him. On the day of their wedding, the entire village gathered to celebrate. The air was filled with the sounds of drums, the sweet scent of jollof rice and pounded yam, and the laughter of villagers dancing under the broad baobab tree. Chief Adarin stood with pride, watching his daughter and her husband begin their life together. He addressed the guests with a booming voice, saying, "Today, we celebrate not only the union of two souls but the courage it took to bring them together. May Dàda and Títílayọ's love remind us all of the power of kindness, patience, and the strength to overcome our fears." Dàda, once so timid, now stood confidently by Títílayọ's side. He held her hand and looked around at the faces of the villagers, seeing respect and admiration in their eyes. He had conquered his fears, found his voice, and won the love of his life. As the sun set over Òṣogbo, casting a golden glow over the couple, they knew they had each other, and that together, they could face any challenge that came their way. And with that, their story truly ends, leaving a legacy of love, resilience, and quiet courage in the hearts of the villagers.